Alright everyone, I'm back with my stuck in traffic scenario, which I wrote up. I just concluded with Mina Mongoose, and now we're here to talk about another love in Sally's life. More in fact, it was a false love, and that is of evil Antoine, or as he's known to a lot of fans, Patch. Now this is a case of an arranged, foreseen, foretold marriage gone wrong because of deception. In the comic book, it was, at the time, nearly 2 years since Antoine Prime had been replaced by evil Antoine, aka Patch, who in Antoine's place had done what fans didn't want to see, and that's break up with Bunny Rabbit, and thus break her heart. This was due to the fact that Patch didn't love Bunny like his counterpart Antoine did and still does. It was through Patch's deception that he was able to poison the king's food and drink so that the king would have to step down and thus allow the arranged, foreseen marriage between Sally and Antoine to take place. Even though the marriage happened and occurred, Patch's deception would soon be revealed. As Sally's brother, would soon be revealed because at the urging of his wife, Meg, Sally's brother Elias would return to reclaim his birthright to the throne and thus prevent Patch from becoming king. Patch, however, would not be denied of his goal. And thus, as he was about to fatally poison Sally's brother with a handshake because he had a poisonous needle that he was going to use on the king hidden in his hand, Sonic was able to see that poisonous needle, and thus during the fight with Patch, because, as I said, Sonic discovered or saw the needle that it was in his hand, and was able to prevent him from poisoning Elias, that during the struggle with Patch, was able to reveal to everyone that he was a phony, only trying to deceive his way to the throne. In the end, Patch was defeated, sent back to his world by Sonic, who, in return, brought the real Antoine back and reunited him with Bunny, who later on they married, and Sally's marriage to Patch was annulled by her brother. So in other words, what happened is that the prophecy that the king saw through the source of all, King Max, was actually a false prophecy. Yes, the marriage occurred, but it was a sign, I guess, that you can't always depend on prophecies, and you got to depend on what's in your heart and what you feel. Now we go on to one of Sonic's final loves before being where he is now, and that is Fiona Fox. Now, Fiona Fox was introduced, first of all, in the solo story Growing Pains, as an animatronic made to deceive Tails. Tails, however, was able to overcome the robotic deception and defeat the animatronic, even though he still had feelings for her. The real Fiona would make a full-time return to the comic book in the home story arc or four-part miniseries known as The Home. Now, as mentioned above, as I just mentioned, I should say, Tails still had feelings for Fiona, even though the real Fiona was about 4.5 years older than him. Now, Tails wouldn't let that stop him, and in some issues would be seen giving or getting Fiona a drink to enjoy, which she would happily accept. Fiona would learn later on in the in the 155th issue of the Sonic comic book about Tails' true feelings for her, when Tails saw what he swore was a kiss and embrace between her and his best friend Sonic, who is like a big brother to Tails. Now, Fiona saw that Tails was upset about what he just saw and wanted to know what was wrong, in which Tails finally told her how he felt about her. Now, Fiona's response to Tails' true feelings about her was one of understanding, but she also let Tails know that she was too old for him and that she would prefer boys like Sonic who were about her age. Now, Tails, upon hearing this, in an emotional outburst, shouted in Sonic's face, "I hate you," which makes one wonder if it was just an emotional outburst of disappointment on Tails' part, or if there was more to it. Now, apparently what it was an emotional outburst. Now, at the time I wrote this, Fiona was Sonic's current girlfriend, not anymore. Because as we all know, she is with Scourge, aka Evil Sonic. And that, as we found out, when Tails said he hated Sonic, that all this built-up emotion he had as we gone into the 175th issue and then later on, was because Sonic had dated Fiona, and during the fact, when he knew during that time, Tails had feelings for her. Now, the only question fans are currently asking, whether they like to admit it or not, is when, where, and if Sonic and Sally will be together once more. Well, as we apparently have seen in some issues, Ian Flynn has hinted towards the fact that they might be getting back together. But when will that be, I don't know. Oh, and neither does anybody else. But I think it's going to be very soon. But anyway, that's all I have to say that's all I have to say. And I'd like to thank you for listening and taking the time to listen to my stuck in traffic scenario. Like I said, I made this about 2 years ago. So that's why I had to add some information to what I was already saying. But again, I thank you for taking your time and listening. And if you got any comments, feel free to share them. And I will talk to you all soon. And take care.